Okay, here we go. So this video is, as you can see, the title sounds very provocative. There is no freedom movement, only a tyranny awareness movement, which I'm going to give the anagram of TAM, so we're going to call them Tammies, all those people who call themselves patriots, freedom fighters, free thinkers, maybe starseeds. What else have you got? Enlightened. There's a ton of terms. People who give themselves a bunch of titles already limit themselves by that title. If we're limited beings, then why would you give yourself some kind of title that limits you? And this statement finishes up by saying, hell-bent on remaining calm as bitch. So what does that mean? It means those who don't remember the sins of the past, if you're one of those people who loves to read the Bible, are doomed to repeat them. So that's what that means, right? If you don't understand the root cause of why things are happening to you the way they are, it means you haven't learned the lessons of karma, so you remain under the control of karma. That's who your master is. Alright, so we're going to move forward, going to start articulating some things, and also show the fan mail that I get that sort of proves what I'm saying here, just how limited people are. And to me, what I'm starting to notice is that the most dangerous people to freedom are those who believe themselves to be freedom fighters, patriots, enlightened, etc., because they're right here when it comes to knowing the causal factor of why people are enslaved. They're right here with their heads in the sand. Just the same as they would recognize the people they call normals or sheeple when it comes to the jabbed, agenda and all the other sort of horrors that are coming down the pike, digital ID, etc., right? They can recognize that, but they can't recognize their own inability to actually understand the importance of self-reliance and stop looking for an external savior. And what you will find is that most of them have this idea of some external creator being, which they call God, that has this vengeful aspect where they'll punish or they'll give rewards, and you've got this internal damnation thing going on in the background. Most of them will come from that way of thinking or believing, and that's why they're easy to control. So if you're watching this and you're getting triggered already, this is not going to get better for you. So best you just leave right now. If you stay here, that's of your own volition. That means that anything from this point onwards, it's your full responsibility what happens. And what you launch with is what you'll get back. And I do that on purpose, by the way, guys, just to show you the mirror. If you don't like it, then why dish it out, right? And then most people, they spend all their energy, in this hate space, and then eventually that energy is unsustainable, and then they've achieved nothing. Because what do you think? Do you think you can honestly control somebody by putting them down and condemning them? That's actually going to get them to stop? If you really think that, have a look at how many videos I've done to this point and see if it's actually made me stop. There's probably a lesson there you haven't learned, but most people just come in on one video and that's it. They just think that's all the content there is. And most of them don't even watch it, they just go by the comment. Anyway, let's move forward to the moral principles that stand behind anyone who's got full self-awareness of how reality really works. So this is what's required to create freedom, not just for one, but for all. The first one is understanding the non-aggression principle, which can be condensed down to the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or have them done unto you. I think that should be do unto you. And the other one is self-ownership. The inherent right to make decisions on matters that affect one's individuated life experience, free from condemnation, intimidation, manipulation, exploitation, coercion, and violent aggression. You're about to see a bunch of comments, fan mail that I get, that is in total opposition to this, and these are the people who call themselves patriots, right? The ones who see the immorality when it's done from government, let's call it government, except their favourite flavour of government, of course, which is the Trump White Hat movement, and they can't see it when they're the ones who are initiating it. Alrighty, so let's read some of the fan mail, shall we? Okay, this one says, people listen to what this guy just said. Now, just so I'm just giving you some context, this is when I do stuff to do with Bosi, and I expose all the flaws and the ways that he goes about presenting things. When I expose that, this is where people start losing their minds, right? They just can't handle it. He's trying to manipulate you. Maybe so. Does anyone know who he is? He just described what he's doing himself. Has he been paid off? You don't know, do you? So all you will now throw in the towel because someone you don't know just fed you what they want you to believe, just like the government-controlled mainstream media. We haven't got a chance here in Australia. You're all defeatists. So basically, this sounds like this individual's in a panic. what I can tell, put all the eggs in the basket of the saviors that they've, initiated in their minds are, their heroes, and this is to demoralize you so you don't believe in it. Right? That's basically what I'm getting out of this. All right, then some other people pipe in and said, University Bites is a leftist person. Wow, how about that? We're going to address that later. I've got a really good video on that one. You don't see him pulling down the Greens, Teals, or Labor, and that's going to get dealt with later. Clearly, these people do not watch the actual videos, because instead of going to individual, like government departments or like political parties, what I usually do is I get to the core root of why they even exist, right? Which is a lot more helpful than just picking on the symptoms, because that's all they're identifying here is the symptoms. This old Greens, Teals, Labor, all that stuff, they're just symptoms of the problem, but they're not the actual problem. And so if you stick around on that all day, you get nowhere. You're on the hamster wheel. Then you got this other. Then you got the same author coming back saying, exactly, sounds like he could tell us what Albo's cock tastes like. Right now, does that sound like someone who is a real free thinker, right? Or is that someone who's got a prejudice that they wanted to grind and prove that they're correct? Let's move on. See what else is in it. Buck off, wokey. Now the accusation is that I'm woke. You'll be one of the first we come for. How about that? Look at that. He and his big ass army, the white hat saviors, right? Invented something that can't really prove, and now it's like got to puff themselves up and really go aggressive and like just terrorize you into submission, right? Is that a moral individual, right? We'll go back over those moral principles in a moment, just so you can compare the two. So same comment. Then this guy down the bottom says, I bet the speaker in this video a few years back believed a killer virus was going to get him unless he had 5 safe and effective jabs. Probably wore a mask in the car too. Now you see all these aspersions that start getting thrown out. Have no idea, like don't watch the content, and then this is what comes out. Now this is really, really indicative of that real polarized thinking, that if you challenge something that's dear to someone else's prejudices, they will lose their minds and start making up stories to try and belittle and humiliate you, right? That's usually what happens to people when they can't handle things going against their illusions and delusions, right? They've got to find a way to discredit you. That's all they can do. But you notice they never actually challenge the content, right? That's the most common thing that you'll find. All right, let's move on. So this is the post that's come from. I think it's 142, I think was the post number. And that's just where the evidence was shown of this boasty guy saying certain things, and then the dates that he said them, and then years later nothing happened, right? That's all it was. So it was actually evidential. That's all it was just showing you evidence. Here we go. This one's a ripper. If you want to have a good time, right, see the entertainment that happened after these comments, go and look up these people's names in these posts, and you'll see I had a lot of fun with these people because they just made it so easy. And they actually thought it was serious, but that was the best part, right? So when you believe that you're right, you don't even know how your strings can be pulled. So yeah, if you want to entertain yourself, go see what was done in retaliation. It was quite a lot of fun. This guy talking is a wanker. And no, I don't know what you mean. A1 is a real patriot organization as opposed to you, dickhead. Right? So that word patriot, that's a really important word. Most people think that's something moralistic and upright. What you'll find, if you do care to watch, you might find that it might not be exactly what you think it is. And it's more a collection of deluded people who are, staying in this docile vision that there's this external authority that knows better than them, instead of taking responsibility to be self-reliant for their own freedom. Which is, that's pretty much all you can do. That's where your real power is. Anything outside of that, you're abdicating it. All right, let's move on to see what else. I think we're going to get into the principle again, just so we can compare what was said there. Did you see anything aggressive in that tone at all? Right? Did they do to me that which they would like happen to them? Because that's what I gave them. I gave them that principle, and you'll see that if you go into those comments. And look at the self-ownership, right? Are they allowing me to express myself the best way I know how, and to stand up for moral principle, which is all evidence, in fact, without any condemnation or intimidation, right, or coercion? Was there any violent aggression in their tone? Right? Ask yourself that. These are the people that call themselves patriots, right? This is their behaviour once they're confronted with something that destroys their delusions. So are they any more moral than someone who's a jab victim who, you start telling, that they put poison themselves? What's the reaction you're going to get to someone? It's the same thing. To someone who's confronted with that information. It's no different, right? Except they seem to compartmentalize it when it's their turn. This one I really love. It's one of my favourites. I notice we can't comment on your latest dribble, you fucking Masonic Fed. Plant, tell us your name, coward. Put your fucking face up like Ricardo does, you putrid hypocrite. We see right through you and your bullshit, you pieces of shit. You and your cronies are losing, bitch. And soon God will cut you down. All right, now remember what I said about the God that they believe in, right? This spiteful, it has this punishment reward thing going on. That's the real high intelligence that they believe in, right? Now, there's a real good explanation of this coming up. So here we go. Of what kind of thinking what kind of individual attaches to this kind of thinking and espouses this kind of stuff, right?
Admits to a fact that it is incomprehensible. It is way beyond the scope of the concept of the ego mind, as the Buddhists would say, the conventional mind, for us to understand it. So what we tend to do, therefore, is we issue projections. We do a dissociation and a projection. We project onto God all those facets that we think, well, we would be like that if we were just bigger and more powerful. So therefore, God is bigger than us. He's got a beard. He sits somewhere. He's vengeful. He holds grudges. He doesn't speak for a while. He's a bit of a temperamental Old Testament type of decoy God. But that is anything but.
Okay, so now we're going to move on. Hopefully that's given you some kind of explanation as to the kind of ideas that people hold in their heads as to why they believe that they're actually justified and also virtuous in throwing these kind of attacks forward. So they're still stuck in this old way of seeing the world as right and wrong based on their perceptions of reality, right? And if you're down that path, you have no idea how mind controlled you are. And that's why you guys are the most scariest ones. You're scarier than the jab victims. And that's what's not being said, right? This needs to come out into the public. More people need to come out and really own up to this. That the scarier people are not the ones who are just following orders. They're the ones who are following orders of the new idea of who the new slave master is that they think is going to be a kinder master, right? That's your Trump, white hat, military, all that stuff movement. Because if someone's doing it for you, you're not in charge. And if you believe someone who's coming to save you is going to do it for you, and there is no payment coming by you, you're seriously fooled. Because they're not going to respect you for the fact that you didn't stand up for yourself, right? They just don't. No one ever will. Think about it from your perspective. Do you respect people who don't stand up for themselves, right? Well, that's how you're going to get treated. Okay, just to finish off, just to show you the Magna Carta 1215 Australia site. So this is a wonderful place to come to get knowledge in one spot. So just quickly showing the intro. There we have it. Just giving a little bit there. And we've got news and articles. So just quickly going through, you can see Will Keat, there he is just there. So he features in it. You've got your learning, so you've got videos. Just again, Magna Carta lessons. Larkin Rose, what a surprise. And there's Will Keat again, etc. David Robinson, big input into Article 61 of the 1215 Magna Carta, so really worthwhile going over that. Mark Passio, all natural law stuff, it's all connected, guys. If people think it's not, don't understand how life works. So that's all connected, that's why it's there. Hidden knowledge that gets into the principles that most people sadly don't understand. John Locke, he does specific stuff on Article 61 and how it relates to us here in Australia. Neil Oliver's stuff in there as well, and there's John Locke again, and Magna Carta and Bill of Rights, so that's a big crime, Bill of Rights that is. So just quickly going through that for you. There's a notice process if you're interested in that, so all the stuff you need here, I'm just going to quickly just fly through it, you can look at it in your own time, all the different ways you can go, and let the criminals masquerading as public servants know the crimes they're committing, and that will all stand as evidence. When we do get those courts de jure, or légère terre, as Will was saying, And these are just things you can do right now if you don't want to do the notice process. It's one standalone letter you can send, different versions thereof, to the police and judiciary, and you've got also child protection. Where's child protection? I think it's here. There you go. We're fast tracking through that. Social proof. You want to come see some evidence of people using Article 61. There it is there. All right, different scenarios. There's community groups that are starting up, so you can see a few here. All right, if you want to start your own, you can come join by going to the Contact Us page just here, if I can get it to work, and just send in your info there if you want to start your own community page in your local area. Okay, that's all I want to show about the site.